Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, there's an old saying that it takes a village to make a film, to do projects like that, but believe it or not, sometimes it even takes a family. And if you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you're in the seats with once more. As always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of industry professionals and we pick their brain about current projects, state of the industry, how they got started, and so very much more in a light and in a conversational fashion. And, you know, if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to assume that you do because you're listening to the podcast right now. You can subscribe and give us one of those big 5-star ratings. You can find us over at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, basically wherever you get your podcasts. And plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we'd really appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. You can find us at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at either at In the Seats or at It's Podcast One for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I'm a broken record, but this is the most important thing. Please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, the moving image at large, because, you know, if we're watching it and writing about it and talking about it, we love it when you come and read about it and listen about it. So please stop on by. Family is foremost on our mind in this episode as we're diving in to a new film from our friends over at 1091 Media, which is debuting on video on demand tomorrow, and it's called The Fabulous Filipino Brothers from writer-director Dante Basco in his film debut, and it debuted at South by Southwest 2021, and it's gotten such great responses. It's co-written by Dante and his brother Darian, who both star in the film, and it's 4 vignettes that follow the Basco brothers as they prepare for an ultimate Filipino family event, a wedding. It is hilarious. It is true to life. It is honest. It is very representative, but it's charming, and it's so much fun. We had the chance to sit down with writer-director Dante Basco to talk about sort of the origins of the film and sort of getting the process going and doing it with family and all sorts of fun stuff. But like I said, if you need to have a good laugh, but one that's honest as well, maybe a little bit of a cry and sort of deal with issues of family, The Fabulous Filipino Brothers, which is on video on demand platforms like iTunes and other things like that, tomorrow is a good watch, and I do highly recommend it. But first, I would recommend listening to our talk with Dante, because between you and me, it's a good one.
But I mean, first off, just obviously, thank you for the time, man. I really appreciate this.
No doubt. I appreciate you too.
Man, congratulations on the movie, man. It is fun as hell. Now, I guess my first question is just walk me through sort of the origin of not particularly this story, but just sort of how you did it, because I love how you broke it up, and just walk me through sort of why you wanted to do it.
Yeah, well, you know, it's my directorial debut, and I've been an actor for a long time, man. Me and actually my whole family. Like, we got to LA from the Bay Area, from Pittsburgh, California, 35 years ago. We left Pittsburgh 35 years ago, and it's been a crazy journey for all of us. This is one of those crazy films where it feels like everything we've done in our lives, and especially creatively and personally, has led us up to doing this movie kind of thing. And throughout my career, I became from break dancer to actor to poet to writer to producer, now to director. It's been, I've been developing it through all this time. It's like, these are stories. The thing about this particular film is I just took the advice that I still give to young filmmakers and young actors or young artists, like, write what you know, write what you know, like start there. Sure. And shoot in your own backyard, like do that. And I took my own advice, and it was one of those things where it's my first time directing. I want to lean on a great cast. It just happened to be my brothers, happen to be some of the closest people to me. They've had great careers in their own right, but like most actors in Hollywood, Black, white, Latino, Asian, or other, you actually don't really get to do what you can actually do. Right. And because we grew up together, and I've seen every performance they've ever done in their lives, from breakdancing on the streets to theater plays to bit roles in film and television to bigger roles in film and television, and to go, hey, they actually don't know. Hollywood doesn't know what you can actually do. And so I got to write this. And really, I was just given, I wanted to take this as my first time directing on my helmet project. Like, let me do one about what I know and with some of the closest people I have and some of brilliant actors, and really get to show them to the world. I'm actually very fortunate as a director, because a lot of times the director, especially first time director, indie director, you're casting people, you don't really know what they can do. But no, I know exactly what these guys can do. We're going to push them as far as we can on this. And we came in, we co-wrote it together. We were tiptoeing around very sensitive stories in our family history. And so I wanted to make sure we were all on the same page about it. We can bring comedy and, some levity to it all.
No, I mean, I guess my next question is, obviously, it takes a village to make a film. Obviously, in this case, it takes a family to make a film.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious, like, at the end of the day, there has to be that one guy, there has to be that director. Like, how did you manage to sort of find the line between family and being the director?
Hey, man, I'm honored that they trusted me with these stories, and they trusted that I would get this done. And they went on the journey with me. And I love that, and again, I'm not the oldest brother, I'm the third of five. Like, I'm smack dab in the middle. But I've been, I've been somewhat the entrepreneurial one in a lot of ways over the years. Like I said, changing my hats and taking on new responsibilities in this industry that we've all grown up in. And so they really trusted me. I mean, that's my hats off to them, trusting me as a producer, trusting me as a director, even in directing them in scenes and pushing them in places. But they pushed me too, because we co-wrote the stuff together. They wrote stuff for me that I was like, I'm uncomfortable doing. Like, you want me to do that? But it was kind of fun. It was a very fun thing because we know each other so well. The shorthand is so crazy. But it's a minor miracle for anything to get made, and this is not an exception. And it was the family and our extended family. I mean, all the departments, DP, Andrea Walters, my producing partner, Ron Erickson at the machine. It's like we traveled many miles. We went to the Philippines back and forth like 14 times setting up this film. So
wow,
it's been an intense journey.
No, I mean, I love the structure of the film, just in terms of every brother having their moment and having like time on screen to have their story unfold. How important was it for you to sort of structure it that way, as opposed to maybe sort of interloping and crisscrossing and all that kind of thing? It felt like every guy had their moment,
Totally. And we talked about it going both ways. Should we do it? Should we do it that way, this way? But I really wanted vignettes. I mean, when I first set out and I pitched the film, I pitched it as My Big Fat Greek Wedding meets Pulp Fiction.
Right. Okay.
People are like, what? And I'm like, hold on a second, not the violence of Pulp Fiction, but the vignettes of Pulp Fiction, the calamity of Pulp Fiction. And I love Tarantino and the pontification, I guess, of Tarantino and his writing, and the brothers all get to monologue, comes from our theatrical background, and let these guys rock, let these guys talk. And so that would My Big Fat Greek Wedding, but Filipino style. And so I think we accomplished that on some levels. I don't know if anyone's ever going to draw that correlation, but it was an inspiration to me. And I really wanted I wanted each brother to really star in their own piece. That's what I wanted.
No, I mean, I love that you brought up the wedding, because I mean, particularly at the beginning and the end, I mean, I love the tracking shots just going in and following everybody. And I mean, that must have been a beast to set up. Like, what made you do that, especially as a first-time filmmaker, to sort of do these very complicated and intricate shots as you're sort of following action and going around the whole thing?
Totally. So those are set pieces to bookshelf the film. Me and the DP, Drea Walter, again, we had a great relationship. I produced her first film, Empty by Design. And we had the same kind of like library of films that we're pulling from, inspired by, from Tarantino to early Woody Allen stuff to to like that particular shot was like, so this is the deal. When you watch the film, obviously you sound like you're a filmmaker, film. So you're talking about filmmaking. We had a very modest budget. This is indie film produced out of the Philippines and Signal Entertainment. So shout out to Signal Entertainment for just green lighting this film and like trusting me to do somewhat an ambitious film, 2 countries, very short shooting time, very little money, very big cast for a film of this nature. And I had a very, I had sits with my DP, and I said, look, we're not going to get it. Like, we have scenes with 6-8 people talking. Like, how are we going to do this? But I'm like, but these guys are actors. These guys are theater actors. These guys are all stage actors. they're all going to be acting. They got to act. We have to act all the time. If you watch the film, you'll understand that as a strategy, right? I was like, let's stay on sticks. We're going to shoot stuff wide. We're going to let these guys, we're going to play a lot of these big scenes wide. And as each vignette gets more to the crux of the vignette, you'll see it subliminally get closer. We'll start covering things more. We won't even go into close-ups until we're in there. So we don't have time to cover and do close-ups of all these big shots. So we're going to let them theatrically act and stay on sticks. We actually don't get off the sticks until all the madness happens at the end of the fourth vignette. But so since we had that strategy to have this very kind of controlled feel of the film, we went steady cam for one day to do the bookends of the film, because we were everybody at the end of what kind of happens in their story during that time. So, I mean, I'm like most filmmakers and most artists. I get inspired by my heroes and I wear it on my sleeve and try to give it to the next generation.
Now, I've got to imagine for you as a first-time filmmaker, like, especially with the intricacy of these shots, like, did that force you just to sort of storyboard and map out everything and then rehearse, or was it just like, because some people just like the point and shoot, and this, like, especially these particular scenes, it's like, no, it's 6 paces across, 2 up, and then you really got to sort of know where you're going. Like,
no, honestly, no storyboard. We had no time to storyboard. It was like a lot of meetings, and again, me and the actors and the filmmaker, we all share the same kind of just library of what we're coming from when we're talking about it. And the meetings were like, this is what I want to do. Like, and we know what we're talking about, or go check it out again. And in light of time, there's risks that happen and things that happen, like many little miracles happen that kind of save you. But me and Dre were like editing scenes in our mind as we're shooting. Like, is this going to cut to that? This has to cut. Like, going into the film and then into the little push, that this idea that I wanted to have them push and have this kind of surreal thing move us into the Filipino dancing. I was like, is that going to cut? Is that going to work? We don't know. And it's great. I mean, it's indie filmmaking. Like, this is not studio films. We didn't have any of that stuff. I know we're supposed to have that. I've been on films where that is happening. We had no budget for storyboarding, none of that stuff. Very loose shot list. We know who needed to talk. We need to get all the lines on, and everyone needed to be acting the whole time. It was very theatrical, and some of the days were just run and gun, shoot. Did we get this? Did we get this? Make sure we get that. And then give, again, I'm not a master filmmaker or a camera mover. I also inspire the DP to like have fun. Like, if we get parts of our day, like, if you want to set up something interesting, let's talk about it. And can't spend too much time on it, but let's try to catch it.
Well, and I love that you bring up just sort of the theatrical background of your family as well, because it did have that energy. It did feel very electric in that way. And I've got to imagine that having guys who know how to sort of keep going, because you'll see it in film and television. Some people need to go line, but no, in this business, sometimes you need to just be able to go. And I've got to imagine for you that was a boon.
Yeah, of course, you got to go. Everyone's got to be acting all the time. We're shooting wides. There's a lot of people talking. There's a rhythm to how the brothers are talking with each other. And a lot of it is real rhythm. But we've all done Mammoth, we've all done Rape, we've all done plays with each other. We understand rhythm, and they've done my plays too. I was like, hey, the repertoire has to go. Let's go. Like, and it's great, and it really develops their the relationship with the brothers, and the relationship with the brothers already this lifetime relationship. So
of course, yeah. Again. No, but I love, like, I've always been a big fan of that rhythm, and that's not something that always translates across. But at least for me as a viewer, it makes it feel more electric and more relevant. And I'm curious for you as a storyteller, like, think back to, like, what are the kind of stories that drew you into to want to tell stories? Because I love that you referenced Tarantino, but like, when I'm watching this, I see Altman, I see other stuff. Like, there's a lot of real stuff in there that feels very, not just humanistic, but sort of very focused on the moment as well. Because when I watch the film, I love that you referenced Tarantino, but I see Altman, I see a little Cassavetes, I see a whole bunch of other stuff. Like, I'm kind of curious, what are the films and stories that kind of drew you into not just want to act, but ultimately be a filmmaker like you are now?
Oh yeah, Cassavetes for sure. We talked about Husbands. Darian's a big my brother Darian's a big Cassavetes dude, and he was doing this kind of stuff in the 70s. And and we loved all that stuff. I mean, early Woody Allen. I love dialogue. I love his dialogue. A lot of like I said, the plays that we did that we really were drawing from, and early Mammoth stuff, early Rave stuff, Hurly Burly, these kind of things where it's like the fun things that we grew up doing. And then, we wrote I mean, look, I know it's not trendy, unless you're Sorkinson or something, but we started writing monologues for each other. Like, yeah, dude, let's do monologues. Let's do some monologues. Remember in that play, we did that monologue, let's do something like that. And this one, and I do look, it's a heightened reality movie. It's all based it's based on true stories. And so we know where these stories come from. So it's as fabulous, or you can call it absurd as the movie can get. It's actually, all the stories are true. So we all knew that in our life. We know who it happened to and how it happened. So that was the anchor for letting these guys go as far as they wanted. You can get as absurd as you want, as fabulous as you want to go, because we actually know, it's real. We're like, we actually know how this really went down. So that was really fun. And again, like you said, we're cheeky. We're cheeky artists, not as young as we used to be. We're still stealing from all our heroes, and whether it be Tarantino or, like I said, Tom West Anderson or Cassavetes. I mean, you name it. We watch all the films together, and we like to take all of it and see how would we do it. We got a chance to do it one time like this, how we would do it,
Well, I mean, I think that's why I really enjoyed this, because I mean, it's kind of remixing and mashing up all those cinematic tropes and just sort of putting them out there and giving us something fresh. And I mean, I'm curious.
I mean, Coppola, the Godfather, the brothers and Godfather, the Wedding God, like we talked about that. The whole, we talk about it. It's always in there, and how it ever comes out, it comes out the way it comes out. But that's the stuff that jazzes us, and that really, that's what jazzes us. And so that's really how we kind of move forward with it.
No, I mean, I'm curious from your perspective, like, how do you think the business has evolved over the years? Because I mean, to me, this feels like a movie very much of the moment, just because of streaming and VOD, that is going to have a chance for it to have an audience. If you tried to make this movie 10 years ago, it may not have gone anywhere.
Right. And we're in a crazy time, man. This is, I've been producing films for the last 10 years, and exclusively Asian American films. And when we first started doing it out of Hawaii with James Sereno, Kinetic Films, a lot of my friends in the industry were like, what are you doing? Like, we don't get it. Like, if we can get, it's about money. Like, if you put this person in it, we can get more budget, you can get more impact. But for me, I'm an actor. Like, I don't have to produce. I mean, look, there's no real living in producing independent movies.
Of course.
You know how it is. It's a passion. These are all passion projects. These are just stories and people you think have a voice, and you want to support them and you want to tell the story. And so when Crazy Rich Asians happened, a lot of the stuff I did and a lot of conversations we had in the industry led up to Crazy Rich Asians. That was the Big Bang Theory. And all of a sudden we're in this pioneering time for Asians in media. Right. Squid Games becomes the number one show in the world. Parasite wins an Oscar. There's so many things happening. This is a wonderful time. And so this is my, attempt to add my community, the Filipino community, as part of this movement and our stories. And I'm not the only one. Yellow Rose came out a year before. Joe Coy's coming out Easter Sunday soon. And the movement's happening. It's us to continue the movement. Like you said, it's a very special time in cinema. This film premiered at South by Southwest. The Fabulous Filipino Brothers. It was, whoa, okay. This is, and it's one of those things where you kind of take your advice. We're inspired by a lot of things, but we're in a time of authenticity matters. Authenticity. And so with me taking my own advice and really trying to tell this story, and a lot of times with people of color in America, I've been in the industry a long time. We're trying to fit into the boxes that's going to make sense for whatever casting or America. It's like all of us. It's about homogenizing. We are the great melting pot. We're all trying to melt into this pot. However, there are times when you gotta try not to melt into the pot and just tell a personal story. Like, this is what it is. And ironically, telling a real personal story about my real family, about really where I'm from. And I'm not really trying to tell a story for all Filipinos in the world or in America. It's like, this is my neighborhood. These are my people. These are my family. Somehow that became a very universal story for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Even outside our community. And so that was a lesson for me. And we're living in a great time. And Hollywood is changing a lot. Look, man, I love Hollywood. Hollywood's been great to me. I started as a kid, and you could see
Yeah.
all the things in my film that I'm inspired by, that I grew up on, that I saw myself in. However, in this new time of Hollywood, our stories matter. You know, for so long, Hollywood was held kind of by, it's not racist, people like it's racism. That's not racist. It's just how business worked. The guys that were telling the stories are the guys that were making the money and doing the business. And more than not, it was straight white males. And so the perspective of Hollywood was from that, and it doesn't make it false or racist. It just means that was the world from their perspective. And as straight white males, a world audience, because Hollywood became a world audience, we walked in the shoes of straight white males and we fell in love as them. We got our hearts broken as them. We saved the world as them time and time again. So much empathy for that. But in this new time, our stories matter. And it has to be us telling our stories from our perspective. And consequently, when 1091 picked up this film, they're like, we're not picking up this film because it's an Asian film. We just love this film. Our executives watch the film and they see themselves and their brothers and their family in your family. Totally. And that's how we always felt watching The Godfather or watching, you know, anything. We see ourselves in that. And that's great storytelling. That's the era we're in. That's the exciting part of it, is everyone's getting to tell stories, and we actually get to ultimately see that we're all more alike than we thought we may. You know, we kind of always knew we were, and there's differences. Of course, there's beautiful differences in learning about other people's culture, but in the end, it's a great stories become universal because we're all connected in that way. Like, that's us. That's my family. That's my brother.
For sure. For sure. And you know what? As someone with a Filipino brother-in-law, I have been to one of those weddings, and you're absolutely bang on, and it is representative. And I mean, you're right. It's a reminder that good storytelling is good storytelling. And that's the universal magic of cinema, and why we're all in this business, and why we love watching stories like this. And you know what, man?
Wonderful.
Thanks for the film, and thanks for the time, man. This was fun.
Thank you so much.
And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.